Over the last 10 weeks, I have been exploring the length and the breadth of Norfolk, a place I once considered home, a county I thought I knew. In this series, I've been uncovering secrets about this blessed place. I've walked about 230 miles, but the stories that make up these places extend further than that. I've enveloped myself through a myriad of landscapes, the green and pleasant land of the countryside, the tempestuous nature of the coast, the pleasant contentment of the village, and the relaxed setting of the flowing river. In this, the last programme of the series, join me, Daniel Evans, on one last trail. The Wherryman's Way. The Wherryman's Way is in the Broads, Britain's largest protected wetland. But the route name itself comes from the wherry, a large cargo carrying barge whose elegant black sails were a once common sight on these waters. Ah, the Norfolk Wherry. Such a nice pint. I've even got the jumper for it, look. And the wherry is not just a pint, it's also a celebration of one of Norfolk's oldest boats. The Norfolk Wherry has been in operation for years. Its use in its prime was to transport goods from Yarmouth to Norwich. Nowadays, it just takes the tourists. It was river trade that made Norwich England's second city. And aptly, it's Norwich where I start my walk today. This is Whittingham Country Park, just on the outskirts of Norwich. It's home to the Great Broad, created through the process of gravel extraction. The extraction work here at Whittingham began in 1990 with the creation of the Little Broad. The gravel has been used for projects such as Norwich's famous Castle Mill and Chapel Field. An outdoor education facility finds itself on the south bank for those interested in studying the local area. It doesn't take too much studying to realise that this is a beautiful place, offering the visitor so much to see and to do. That's the case for so much on this trail. It's a trail that's perhaps the most closest to my heart. I've been brought up around the Broads, around these large expanses of water, around the tranquility of it all. My next location is no exception. I'm in Bramerton, a village about 5 miles southeast of Norwich, along the Wherryman's Way. I get quite jealous of the people who get to live here. Well, they have it all, don't they? They live right next to the river, and it's about 10 minutes to the nearest city. But it's not just a river. If we turn our attention away from the water and onto the north of the village, the Bramerton pits also churn up, quite literally, heaps of interest. So much so that they have been listed as a site of special scientific interest. The area is well known for unique shelly and sandy deposits left by a previous ice age. Fossil fish, extinct voles and otters have been found in this area after many excavations over the years. It goes to show, you never know what's under your feet. Okay, under your paws as well. Continue on the Wherryman's Way, you get to Cerningham. Now, it may not be the geological hotspot of the county, but it still rocks. The Church of St Mary is one of the 124 round tower churches, and we've seen quite a few of them in this series. But in this land of death, there is an awful lot of life. Next to the church, you see, is the Church Marsh Nature Reserve, owned by the RSPB. With 68 hectares of mixed wetland habitat, there really is a bounty of flora and fauna. Isn't that right, lads? Breeding here are the reed and the sedge and the grasshopper. Marsh harriers are frequent visitors too. Overlooking the nature reserve is another church, but this time in disrepair. This is St Saviour Church. It was built in the 12th century, and until 1705 had regular services going on here. You could sing your little hearts out in this place. There's now unfortunately a campaign to save it against further dilapidation. Let's get back to the water. My next location owes part of its success to the Broadland rivers. In the medieval times, Norwich was famous for its black glazed roofing tiles, and they were made here, in Rockland St Mary, and were transported from a stave by the river. Although the industry might have disappeared, the stave still exists and attracts perhaps more attention now than it ever did. It's these kinds of places, although small on the map, they've contributed so much to the county. I walked along to Loddon. One person once wrote in the middle of the 1700s that Loddon is a distant 105 miles away from London and contains nothing that merits notice. I would have to disagree. The original translation for Loddon is muddy water, but the water is far from muddy. Loddon continues to expand and grow. Where wherries used to trade on the river, pleasure craft now cruise to the stave. Business in the town is booming, and a rapid expanse of housing has made Loddon a desirable commuter town to Norwich, Lowestoft and Great Yarmouth. Those travelling on the water from Loddon to Great Yarmouth, like I'm doing on foot, would have surely stopped off here, at Reedham. Well, why wouldn't you? One person who certainly did was King Edmund of East Anglia. But why here? Well, he could have took a fancy towards the tranquility of the landscape. It is positively saturated in bliss.
Wherryman Ferry is the only way of getting to the other side of the river between Norwich and Great Yarmouth, so if you need to get across the other side, here's the place to do it.
And so, along the Wherryman's Way we walk, the last stretch in our mammoth journey. From Reedham, I pass over March and Fen to the town which marks the end of this 230-mile discovery, Great Yarmouth. Great Yarmouth, although in the press for all the wrong reasons, has a great story. For hundreds of years, it was a major shipping port, depending on the herring industry. Today, although the smell of herrings might have all but disappeared, the discovery of oil has led to the flourishing of natural gas rigs. Aside from the industry, Great Yarmouth is home to a wonderful number of rare flora and fauna. Between the two piers is one of the largest roosts of Mediterranean gulls in the country. Grey seal and common seal are often seen offshore, whilst onshore a special site of scientific interest is found in North Deans, due to its dune plants. From Hunstanton to Great Yarmouth, we've travelled through some truly fine places. This series may have been about my home county, but it's your home too. Norfolk is just one patch on a quilt that enwraps our planet. In a world which too often is spent indoors, I've become reacquainted with fresh air, with nature in its wild habitat, with the comforts that are brought about by discovery and exploration. So, the next time you have a spare couple of hours, go outside and discover more of your own roots. Learn more about your own doorstep. It may be a small step, perhaps a dilapidated step, perhaps a step in the wilderness, but it's a step, and learning about your home is the first step to exploration and discovery.